crypto could undermine our sanctions regime. But crypto is also providing a new way for countries to sanction-proof themselves. Cracking down on crypto is a critical piece of holding Russia accountable for its aggression. We can't fool around any longer. We need to get new crypto rules in place.
Cryptocurrencies won't help Russia evade sanctions. Yes, you heard it right. U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren is concerned that cryptocurrencies may undermine Russia's sanctions regime. She urges financial regulators to pay attention to the problem and increase their monitoring of digital assets. In contrast to Senator Elizabeth Warren's warnings, it is clear that cryptocurrencies are ineffective at hiding money and avoiding enforcement actions.
Crypto takes the sting out of sanctions. And in fact, the Treasury Department warned last year that crypto could undermine our sanctions regime. Theoretically, the crypto industry is supposed to enforce sanctions as well.
After Russia's military incursion into Ukraine, the United States has imposed a harsh set of economic sanctions against the Russian government, including President Vladimir Putin himself, high-profile individuals, and businesses linked with the Kremlin. However, shortly after these penalties were announced, Senator Elizabeth Warren retweeted a sensational New York Times piece that suggested cryptocurrencies may be used to violate U.S. sanctions. Then, in a March 2nd letter to the Treasury Secretary, Warren urged for more scrutiny of digital assets.
We know that many crypto exchanges and wallets are not collecting information about the identities of their customers, are not screening their platforms for illicit activity, and are not reporting sanctions violations. Heck, this is how North Korea has been able to move money around and finance its illegal missile programs. Here's the thing. The whole point of crypto is that it allows someone to conduct financial transactions without having to go through the traditional banking system or traditional financial intermediaries. Right now, millions of transactions are taking place that are completely unregulated with no one verifying who gets what. And that means that while sanctions can make it very difficult for Russian companies, political leaders, and billionaires to move money around in the traditional financial system, there is another shadow, unregulated world that they can turn to. Crypto poses a variety of threats to financial stability, to investor protection, to our environment. But crypto is also providing a new way for countries to sanction-proof themselves. Cracking down on crypto is a critical piece of holding Russia accountable for its aggression. We can't fool around any longer. We need to get new crypto rules in place.
Adding her voice to those calling for increased regulation on digital assets. As you are aware, war is very expensive. The United States has spent $1.1 trillion in today's dollars during the 2003 Iraq War, while the Falkland Islands conflict cost the United Kingdom around $2.6 billion in today's money. So funding is an important resource in any conflict, similar to that of artillery, fuel, and boots on the ground. The burden of finance traditionally falls to governments, often in the form of issuing war bonds. Ukraine is currently issuing $270 million in war bonds for that very purpose, with Russians also being restricted by moving money out of the country, both by sanctions on Russian banks and capital controls imposed by their own government. The demand for crypto may already help to explain Bitcoin has moved 15% and was around $43,500. And the leading altcoins such as Ethereum plus 12%, Ripple plus 7%, and Solana plus 18% have also been on the way up last week. New York Times article that suggested cryptocurrencies could be used to evade U.S. sanctions. I agree that it's an attention-grabbing story, but here's just one problem. It isn't true. Sanctions prohibiting U.S. citizens from engaging in transactions with sanctioned people or enterprises. In this case, it's Russia. For digital assets to be used as a tool of sanctions evasion, digital assets would have to enable U.S. citizens to interact with sanctioned people without getting caught or revealing their activities to law enforcement. And that's precisely what digital assets don't do. The founder of Binance, the cryptocurrency trading platform, has dismissed fears that virtual money could be used by the Kremlin to evade sanctions, as he claimed that crypto is too small for Russia. Changpeng Zhao said cryptocurrencies also defeated attempts to work around sanctions by being too traceable, adding that more focus should be placed on banks. In a statement, Zhao said that the media and the politicians should be focused on conventional lenders and the oil and gas sector instead of pushing Bitcoin. He said, "Currently the media and politicians are spending a lot of effort and focus on crypto and sanctions. The truth is, crypto is too small for Russia. If we look at the crypto adoption today, there is probably about 3% of the global population with some kind of crypto exposure. Of those, most only have a small percentage of their net worth in crypto, less than 10% on average. So there is probably only less than 0.3% of the global net worth in crypto today. This percentage equally applies to Russia." The Wall Street Journal reported last week that the U.S. is considering imposing sanctions on Russia's cryptocurrency market, amid concerns that currencies like Bitcoin offer an alternative way, outside the international banking system, to make irreversible cross-border transactions. Zhao denied this applied to Binance, saying it applies the same sanctions rules as the banks, according to international standards. Zhao said the use of blockchain in cryptocurrency transactions meant that crypto assets are not an effective tool for illicit activities. A blockchain is a digital, decentralized ledger maintained by a network of computers that register every crypto transaction and can be scrutinized by anyone. Zhao added that using privacy-focused digital currencies such as Monero wouldn't work either, because the market capitalization of Monero is $3 billion compared with Russia's GDP, a measure of economic output, of $1.5 trillion. Zhao said, "Another reason Russia would not want to use crypto is that it is too traceable, and governments around the world are already very adept at tracking it." Zhao said this week, Binance had donated $10 million to the aid of humanitarian effort in Ukraine and helped those fleeing the conflict. In my view, however, it is doubtful that crypto will save Russia from sanctions. Even apart from the huge task of establishing the necessary facilities within Russian banks, many of the people and institutions that would be receiving the crypto would need to set up wallets of their own. Crypto has a lot of potential for positive change. However, it is also possible that the advantages cryptocurrencies have brought to this conflict will aid in its wider acceptance and the creation of global harmonized regulation necessary for it to be accepted by the general public. On the other hand, preventing crypto from being utilized as a means of evading sanctions on a small scale is already difficult, and it will only get more so in the years ahead. Despite continued effort and intense scrutiny, the traditional financial system has never come close to fully denying illicit actors' usage of financial services. The illicit economy is thought to be huge, with a value of well over $1 trillion, dwarfing the amount of illegal financial activity disrupted by law enforcement. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and others can be used for illicit activities, such as sanctions evasion. To be honest, the fact is that digital assets are more difficult to misuse at scale than the conventional ecosystem. Why is that? The answer has to do with how transaction information is stored in peer-to-peer digital asset transactions. Specifically, transparent blockchains create a permanent and immutable record of transactions. For example, in the last few weeks, two of the largest cryptocurrency hacks in history, the Bitfinex hack and the DAO hack, have been solved by analyzing on-chain data. Those hacks occurred years ago. The data has been publicly available to law enforcement and anyone else with an internet connection ever since those hacks took place. As you see it already, the government is looking for crypto-based illicit financial activity, including sanctions evasion, and is becoming very proficient at finding it. In short, sanctions compliance is alive and well in the world of cryptocurrency. Senator Warren and the other congressional leaders may take several measures to prevent this from ever becoming a reality if they are genuinely concerned about crypto enabling sanctions evasions on a large scale. The most important thing here is to ensure that blockchain networks and decentralized finance can help a lot in the United States. That will give the United States government and law enforcement the best chance to develop and implement the most effective sanctions compliance tools in digital asset markets. And it will allow collaboration to foster between digital asset market participants and U.S. law enforcement. Congressional leaders should stop speculating without evidence about how criminals could leverage cryptocurrencies to escape U.S. sanctions. Instead, they should voice their support for the crypto industry's already extensive sanctions compliance efforts and to help make them better. So I hope you got my point. Cryptocurrencies won't help Russia evade sanctions. Crypto is too small for Russia. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this. Don't panic and stay invested. See you in another video.